choice for the first horseman, and we've got a lot of information on her kit. Looks like she's going to be an arena team, and she's going to have her own team that also includes Scarlet Witch and 3 unnamed characters. And then we've also got a somewhat controversial and confusing unlock method, which we will go over because it's not entirely clear to me, but we're going to go over it. Maybe what's open to some interpretation. And then we've also got the kit, which looks pretty powerful. It definitely looks like they're going to be dominant in arena. Pestilence, Morgan Le Fay. Behold, Apocalypse First Horseman is riding into the battle fray. Morgan Le Fay, the first of 4 powerful new figures of the Age of Apocalypse. That's right. She's going to be the first of 4, and then the 4 of them are going to be used to unlock Apocalypse, is my understanding. They'll probably make their own super team. This already looks like it's going to be a pretty powerful team. Morgan Le Fay will arrive with the newly formed Darkhold team, which will consist of Morgan Le Fay, Scarlet Witch, and 3 new characters. Maybe we'll get that Dark Doctor Strange from What If, but they had the costume and they pulled it, right? Which we'll cover in future posts. As we mentioned in the 2022 preview blog, each Horseman team will specialize in a specific game mode, and the Darkhold team will unlock the full potential in Arena. Hey, did we just get an Arena team? Yeah, we just got Cersei and Icarus, but guess what? All right, this is not going to... And what about Dormammu, right? Now let's lead Apocalypse First Horseman. Now they have the history. I'm not going to read the history, but if you're not familiar with the character, I'll put a link to the blog post, and they can have like the whole history of her, right? But let's get into it. Morgan Le Fay joins the newly formed Darkhold team as a legendary controller with high health and damage. Her mystical abilities, Get Wrecked Mystic Gear, not only bolster her Darkhold allies, but also specialize in punishing controller enemies. Woof. Look out, Cersei. Controllers are currently some of the top dogs in Arena, so this reality-bending sorceress will be shifting the Arena reality as well. As you will see in her kit below, Morgan Le Fay is extremely powerful. Once her special abilities bonkers, by the way, Time Warp goes off, it'll disrupt the turn order of the entire battlefield. It's pretty crazy, actually. Her power increases with her Darkhold allies. It would also be wise to accompany with her characters with high speed. Warp the battlefield with Apocalypse Force Horseman. She is a villain, global mystic controller, Darkhold Horseman, legendary. So these are legendary. Now we're going to scroll all the way down to her passive and read that first. On spawn, bury yourself for 20% of this max health. Now I just want to talk about this first, and this because there's a developer note right here. Normally, barrier is capped at 30% of a character's max health. However, the final line of Queen phase increases the cap to 60% of max health for any and all of the Darkhold characters. So in the past, barrier was capped at 30% of max health. Now this for her and this team, the Darkhold team, it'll be 60%. So keep that in mind. Bury yourself for 20% of this character's max health. On spawn, apply safeguard for 2 turns to self and all Darkhold allies. So that's going to be like Infinity Watch. On spawn, fill speed bar by 5% per mystic enemy up to a maximum of 20%. And then this seems very powerful here. On enemy turn, fill speed bar by 10% for self and all Darkhold allies. So anytime an enemy takes turn, she will get 10% turn meter as well as her Darkhold allies on the team. So it could be the whole team getting 10%. That's a very important mechanic. We play a turn-based game here. Any kind of turn-based manipulation or speed manipulation is going to be the alpha stat in a turn-based game. Lower the assist chance for all enemies by 25% per Darkhold ally up to a maximum of 100%. Boy, they really are making a lot of hard counters to Infinity Watch for that, Nebula assist combo. So get wrecked, Infinity Watch, lower the assist chance. Nebula's not going to be assisting constantly. We're not going to get that that skirmisher striker combo. Gain 50% max health, and so will the Darkhold allies. Gain resistance, so will the Darkhold allies. And then in arena, gain 30% max barrier. In arena, Darkhold allies gain 30% max barrier, and we talked about the cap. Now, let's talk about her turn 1 ultimate reality break, which will go off turn 1. Energy cost 4/4. Clear immunity from the primary target. Attack primary and adjacent targets for piercing damage. And this attack has extra crit chance. I wonder if she's going to be a raider or not. Apply disrupted and slow to the primary target. Very nice. Disrupted is a very powerful negative effect. Just wait. She also has trauma. Spread all negative effects from the primary target to all adjacent targets. This will not spread stun or ability block. We've seen this mechanic in several characters in the game, although they're specifically mentioning ability block. That's one of my favorite things to do with Hela is to spread ability block, but it looks like they are not allowing that. Apply trauma and ability block to all controller enemies. That is huge. Trauma is an amazing negative effects where it prevents the negative effects that are applied from being cleansed and cleared. That's just bonkers. Trauma, I really like trauma, and they're applying trauma to more and more characters in the game. So she will have safeguard and she will have trauma. Flip 2 positive effects and negative effects on all non-controller enemies. Reduce the speed bar of all enemies that do not have any negative effects by 30%. So if it's unsuccessfully landing negative effects or negative effects don't get applied, they're going to have their speed bar reduced by 30%, which is a very powerful. Just look how powerful Cersei and Icarus are in the arena, where they reduce 25%. It's very good. This attack cannot be dodged. Now, this is one of the more broken abilities I've seen in the game. Special time warp. Energy cost 4-6. So this will go off, I believe, turn 2. Check this. Reduce speed bar for self, all allies, and enemies by 100%, which means that your entire team is going to take a turn. Basically, she's going to drop all this turn meter down to 0 effectively by 100%. And then your entire team gets to take a turn. Sounds great. It's almost like win the game, win the match right there when that goes off. Clear all positive effects from all enemies. Wow. Clear all negative effects from self. Heal self for 100% of this character's max health. Deal 10% of this character's max health as damage to all enemies. That's great. Apply speed up for 2 turns and immunity to self and all Darkhold allies. This attack is unavoidable. Now, looks like this is going to be very good. Then we have the basic attack. Now, no word here if this applies to like this, what they call the safety attack, which is the counter attack, the assist, the ISO attack. So I'm not sure how this will play out, but if this stuff does apply to the assist counter attack, then there's an opportunity for a skirmisher striker combo perhaps. But typically characters that have good basic attacks we put striker on them, but no word on this. We usually can't get this information until it's published on msf.gg. Attack primary target for 350% damage. Copy and clear 2 positive effects, excluding taunt. On crit, instead, copy and clear all positive effects, excluding taunt. So again, that makes me think that Raider would be a excellent ISO choice. Steal 10% health from the primary target and redistribute health. Now, looks good. Looks like she's going to be an amazing character. No complaints. Now, this is very interesting. They mentioned gear tier 19 and the highest difficulty of Scourge, which is alarming. And we're going to read this a couple times because this was probably the most controversial, confusing part of the post. Your first chance to recruit Apocalypse Horsemen will revive with the Morgan Le Fay Pestilent Scourge event, which will earn character shards via milestones and rank rewards. And the leaderboard is what is concerning. And Cerebro did address the leaderboard in the comment section on this post. I just want to read this real quick because, oh boy, another leaderboard payout. Last one was so much fun. Cerebro responds and says, I know this is of significant concern for you guys, and I have been talking with the team at Lynx about this. I'll make a formal announcement closer to the release of the event, but we are going to closely monitor the leaderboard during this event to ensure that it is working properly and be ready to address any problems/issues in real time. They use the word issues before in describing what I would call an exploit, the double donation exploit. So we will see. And I got to read the Wrestlin's comment. This guy makes all kinds of great red. No offense, but there should be no leaderboard rewards in events until the dev team proves over time we can trust and rely on them to protect honest players. I think I've made about 5 videos on how much I think these leaderboards is a bad idea. The last straw was the devs sliding the exploiters in the Stark event and failing once again to protect honest players. Now devs have zero credibility. They did this to themselves. We gave the devs about 4 years to protect the integrity of the game. And almost every single turn, they choose to let the exploiters go unpenalized. And yes, letting exploiters benefit from an exploit and letting honest players lose out on rewards, that by definition is taking the side of exploiters and the rest of the player base. That's exactly how I feel. So this is very controversial right here, that earning shards will be through milestones and rank rewards. I got to read this sentence. We're going to read this sentence a couple times because it's unclear to me what it actually means. Scourge difficulties 1 through 5 will have flexible character requirements, meaning you can use any character you want. And then they list the difficulty levels up to level 5. Difficulty level 5, gear tier 13, level 4, 11. And depending on how many scourges you turn on and how far you get through it, you get points, right? And the more points you get, you will get milestones. And then you'll also be contributing towards the leaderboards. And then there's going to be more shards in the leaderboards, which is the part that I take issue with. Now, this is the part where caused me to scratch my head because it almost sounds too good to be true. And different people have interpreted this in different ways. Difficulty 6 and above aren't required to unlock Morgan Le Fay. Oh, we're going to read this first. Scourge difficulties 1 through 5 have flexible character requirements. We read that. Difficulty 6 and above will require either web warriors or dark hunters on nodes 5 and 10. So on nodes 5 and 10, on difficulty 6 and higher, will require web warriors and or dark hunters. Now, this is the sentence that depending on who you talk to, interprets it a different way. Difficulty 6 and above aren't required to unlock Morgan Le Fay, but keep in mind that you'll earn more points with higher difficulties, which will be helpful in ranking her up to higher star counts. Now, I believe what they're trying to say there is that if you score high on the leaderboards, you might be able to unlock Morgan Le Fay, but it almost implies that, like this person interpreted it right here, which I don't believe is true. So if I'm reading this correctly, most players are going to unlock Morgan the first time around at low stars? I don't think so, man. This stuff is in-game material. I just didn't interpret it that way. I really like this new direction of the first-time legendary lock, since this prevents most free-to-play players from getting locked out of new meta team. And then Yuletide Bringer says, I read it as no specific level is required for unlock, but finishing high of the leaderboard is. That's the way that I read this. Maybe we'll get more clarification at the time of reading the blog post. It seems very clear, but again, difficulty 6 and above aren't required to unlock Morgan Le Fay. Does that mean that you can get a handful of shards and then on the 10th round you finally unlock her? It doesn't say that you're going to get her on the first run, but keep in mind that you'll earn more points with higher difficulties. Scoring well on the leaderboards is really probably where it's going to be at, which will be helpful in ranking her up higher star counts. So I believe it's going to be an auction. It's going to be a leaderboard. Whoever does the best on the leaderboard, or the cheater board, which I called it in the last video, there you go, right? It's going to be dependent on how cracking you are. We're going to read the requirements, which on paper looks bad because it mentions gear tier 19, which will help on ranking her up to higher star counts. Below are the gear tier recommendations for each base difficulty. Please keep in mind that several of the higher difficulties are not intended to be 100% completed the first run of the Scourge events, and it's something the players can aspire to complete over time. And they're talking about difficulty 10 requiring gear tier 19. That's bonkers. And it's listed right there. Gear tier 6, gear tier 15, difficulty 7, gear tier 16. Wow. Yes, we just did make reference to gear tiers above 16, but those tiers are something that will roll out over a long period of time, and not all coming together this year. Wow. Not a fan of leaderboards. Don't think this is good. Leaderboards, no, not a fan of leaderboards. I've made so many videos about leaderboards this week. I don't know if I could rehash the topic. Very quickly, Dr. Voodoo's event campaign, which yay. Event campaigns are the most player-friendly unlock method. Will go on March 9th. And then it looks like Morbius is going to be some sort of event also. Not like this, though, but they mentioned it yesterday in that he's coming soon. They said some sort of event for Morbius. But Dr. Voodoo will be the traditional event campaign that starts on March 9th. And then also they mention here, which is kind of confusing to me, is that Star-Lord T'Challa is now in the Elite store as of yesterday. I haven't seen that, so I have no way of confirming that. And then they have the rest of the events listed here. What do you think about all this? I'm still really worried about leaderboards and cheating and the integrity of the game. I don't have a lot of confidence that this is going to go down well. I am excited about this idea and this team and getting her unlocked, but leaderboards make me very uncomfortable. Let me know what you think. And as always, thanks for watching and keep on gaming.